The grand delusion of intelligence. Most people believe that to achieve extraordinary success, you need an extraordinary IQ. They think that the billionaires of the world have some sort of biological advantage, a faster processor in their brains that allows them to see things others don't. But if you studied the life of Charlie Munger, the legendary partner of Warren Buffett and the architect of Berkshire Hathaway, you would discover a much more uncomfortable truth. Success isn't about being smarter, it's about being more rational. And rationality isn't a gift, it's a system. Charlie Munger wasn't just a billionaire investor. He was, arguably, the most successful practical philosopher of the last century. He didn't just pick stocks, he collected mental models. While the rest of the world was drowning in data, spreadsheets, and specialized jargon, Charlie was busy looking at the big picture. He realized early on that the human brain is a flawed instrument, evolved for a world that no longer exists. To navigate the modern world, he developed what he called worldly wisdom. Today, we are going to deconstruct the core of that wisdom. We are going to explore the lattice work of mental models, the secret that allowed a man from Omaha to outperform the most sophisticated minds on Wall Street for over half a century. If you've ever felt like you're working hard but not getting ahead, or if you find yourself making the same mistakes over and over, this is the missing piece of your puzzle. The man with the hammer syndrome. To understand Munger's logic, we first have to understand the disease he spent his life fighting, the man with a hammer syndrome. Charlie used to say, "To a man with only a hammer, every problem looks like a nail." In our modern world, we are encouraged to be specialists. We have cardiologists who know everything about the heart, but nothing about nutrition. We have economists who understand interest rates, but nothing about human psychology. We have marketers who understand algorithms, but nothing about biology. Munger realized that this extreme specialization is a form of blindness. The world is a complex, interconnected system. It doesn't care about the boundaries of academic departments. A problem in business is rarely just a business problem. It's a psychological problem, a biological problem, and a mathematical problem all at once. If you only have one lens to look through, you will constantly be blindsided by reality. You will try to force the world to fit your theory, instead of fitting your theory to the world. Munger's solution was radical. You must learn the big ideas from every major discipline. Not the tiny details, not the academic filler, just the big foundational principles that carry 95% of the weight. The lattice work of mental models. Imagine your mind as a physical structure. For most people, their mind is a collection of disconnected facts, like a pile of loose bricks. When a new piece of information comes in, they have nowhere to put it, so it eventually falls off the pile and is forgotten. Charlie Munger proposed a different architecture, the lattice work. A lattice work is a grid. Each node in the grid is a mental model, a concept from a different field like physics, biology, history, or psychology. When you have this grid in your head, every new experience, every news story, and every investment opportunity has a place to sit. You don't just know things, you see how they connect. He argued that you need about 80 or 90 models to be a truly consistent, rational thinker. These models act as a checklist for your brain. Before making a decision, you run the situation through your lattice work. You ask, what does the law of thermodynamics say about this? What does evolutionary biology tell me about this person's incentives? What does the psychology of social proof suggest will happen next? When you think this way, you aren't guessing. You are calculating reality based on the most proven laws of the universe. The power of inversion. Thinking backwards. One of the most famous models in Munger's toolkit is inversion. It's a deceptively simple concept that comes from the mathematician Carl Jacobi, who said, "Invert, always invert." When most people want to be successful, they ask, "How can I be successful? What should I do to win?" Munger did the opposite. He would ask, "What would make me fail? What would make my life miserable? What would destroy this business?" Once you have a list of everything that leads to failure, laziness, resentment, unreliable partners, excessive debt, or one-dimensional thinking, you simply avoid those things. Charlie realized that it is much easier to avoid being stupid than it is to try to be brilliant. By inverting the problem, you clear the path of obstacles that most people aren't even looking for. In the world of investing, this meant he didn't look for the next big thing. He looked for the things that couldn't fail. He looked for businesses with moats so deep that even an idiot could run them, because, as he joked, eventually an idiot would. The Lollapalooza effect, when forces collide. If there is one term that defines the Munger brand of logic, it is the Lollapalooza effect. In the physical world, we understand that if you apply heat to water, it gets hot. But if you apply heat and pressure, you get something entirely different: steam power. Munger applied this to human behavior. He noticed that most people look for a single cause for a phenomenon. But in reality, big results, both good and bad, are usually the result of multiple mental models acting in the same direction at the same time. Take a look at an auction, for example. Why do people pay 10 times what an item is worth? It's a Lollapalooza of psychological biases, social proof, other people are bidding, so it must be valuable. Scarcity, there is only one item. Commitment and consistency, you've already started bidding, so you don't want to stop. Deprival super reaction, the fear of losing something you almost had. When these 4 or 5 forces hit a person at once, their brain melts. They stop being rational and start acting like a mindless machine. Munger's genius was in identifying these Lollapalooza moments before they happened, either to exploit them in business or to avoid being a victim of them in life. The circle of competence, the ego's greatest enemy. Another pillar of Munger's money logic is the circle of competence. Charlie and Warren Buffett had 3 baskets on their desks: yes, no, and too hard. Most of the opportunities that came their way went straight into the too hard basket. Why? Because they knew exactly where their knowledge ended. Munger argued that you don't need to be an expert on 1,000 things. You just need to know where the edge of your expertise is and never, ever cross it. The most dangerous person is the one who thinks they understand something they don't. In the tech boom of the late 90s, Munger and Buffett were mocked for not investing in the internet. They were called dinosaurs who didn't understand the new economy. Munger didn't care. He knew the internet was outside his circle of competence. He didn't know who would win, so he didn't play. A few years later, when the bubble burst and billions of dollars vanished, the dinosaurs were the ones left standing with all their capital intact. Knowing what you don't know is more important than being smart. The discipline of patience, the art of doing nothing. In the modern financial world, we are told that we need to be active. We check stock prices every 5 minutes. We trade every day. We feel like if we aren't doing something, we aren't working. Munger's logic was the exact opposite. He believed that the big money isn't made in the buying and the selling, but in the waiting. He compared his style of investing to a spear fisherman. You stand in the water for days, doing absolutely nothing, watching the small fish go by. You don't move. You don't get distracted. But the moment a massive, fat fish swims within reach, you strike with everything you've got. This requires a level of temperament that most people simply don't have. It requires the ability to be ignored, to be called boring, and to watch others make quick money while you sit on the sidelines. But as Charlie proved, a lifetime of patience followed by a few moments of aggressive action is the fastest way to extraordinary wealth. Ethical logic. Why honesty is profitable. One of the most overlooked parts of Munger's philosophy is his stance on ethics. He didn't believe in honesty just because it was the right thing to do, though he did believe that. He believed in honesty because it was logical. He called this win-win logic. If you build a reputation for being fair, honest, and reliable, your cost of doing business drops to almost zero. People want to do deals with you. You don't need expensive lawyers to watch every word, because your word is your bond. In the long run, the shrewd person who tries to trick their customers or partners ends up losing. They destroy their reputation, and in a connected world, reputation is the ultimate currency. Munger's logic was simple: be a good person because it's the most efficient way to get rich. The 99-year legacy: becoming a learning machine. If you looked at Charlie Munger in his late 90s, you would still see him with a book in his hand. He famously said, "In my whole life, I have known no wise people who didn't read all the time. None. Zero." He didn't view learning as something you do in school. He viewed it as a lifelong moral obligation. He called himself a learning machine. If you can go to bed every night a little bit wiser than you were when you woke up, the compounding effect of that knowledge over 50, 60, or 70 years will make you an unstoppable force. He didn't care about trends. He cared about the deep truths. He studied the failures of the past so he wouldn't have to repeat them in the future. He studied the successes of others not to copy them, but to understand the principles that made them possible. Applying Munger's logic to your life. As we conclude this first deep dive into Munger's money logic, I want you to ask yourself, what is your lattice work? When you look at your bank account, your career, or your relationships, are you using a hammer to solve every problem? Or are you building a set of tools that allow you to see the world as it really is? The beauty of Munger's way is that it is accessible to anyone. You don't need a PhD from Harvard. You just need curiosity, the discipline to read, and the humility to realize that your brain needs a better operating system. The secret to thinking 10x better than everyone else isn't about adding more information. It's about removing the filters of ego, bias, and specialization. It's about returning to the fundamental laws of the universe. This is the path Charlie Munger walked for 99 years. It's a path of rationality, patience, and extreme success. And it's the path we are going to explore here, one lesson at a time. If you are ready to stop guessing and start thinking, if you are ready to build your own lattice work of worldly wisdom, then you are in the right place. Welcome to Munger's Money Logic. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. In our next video, we are going to dive deep into the first and most important mental model, inversion. We'll show you exactly how to use it to debug your life and your finances. Until then, remember what Charlie said. The best thing a human being can do is help another human being know more. Thank you for watching, and stay rational.